Welcome to King for the Day, your racing's dictator.
I think it's very vexed, the whip, because obviously it's hideous seeing people flashing horses. It's simply horrible.
We had harder whips in those days, and I've never had any spirit marking a horse.
You're a liar, mate. You're in a position where it's obvious to any fool that you're going to tell a porky.
Well, the trouble about clerks, of course, is they're so inconsistent. There's some very, very good clerks, and there's some very moderate ones.
You know when the burglary is going to occur. So all you've got to do is watch the race. If you think something's not trying, you want somebody to see it when it's pulled up, see how hard it's blowing.
What changes and reforms would you introduce?
Like smacking children, you know, the old whack behind the thighs if they're being really insufferable, but not just horrible beating.
Jilly Cooper, former Sunday Times and Mail on Sunday journalist before becoming a worldwide best-selling author of nearly 50 books, several with racing themes, devoted to her dogs, the countryside and horse racing. Her novels seem to revolve around the British class system, relationships and even steamy sex sessions. Jilly, thanks so much for agreeing to be Queen for the Day. You are regal, but also now becoming racing's dictator. So what changes and reforms are you going to enforce?
I'd like to stop two-year-old racing till quite late in the year, about sort of July, August, because you see these poor little two-year-olds, they're not strong enough, and their little legs, and somewhere like Newmarket, you see them going out in the cold weather, shivering, poor little things, and I just think they ought to, I mean, dressage horses don't start running until they're 8, or don't start performing until they're 8, and I just think it's too early for a horse, and equally that leads on to the fact that I'm obsessed with poor jockeys having to have nothing to eat, and they're on 350 calories a day, and you look at them, they're pale-faced, covered in spots, they look so shivering and ill, and if the horses started a bit later, then the jockeys could be a bit heavier.
They have raised the minimum weights. You would like it to go up to maybe 8 stone 7, 8, 10?
I would. Absolutely would.
So
yep.
What about those young men and women who are naturally lightweight, who benefit from the present system?
Well, they'd have to carry lots of weights, wouldn't they? I just hate seeing them look so ill. I just think it would be better. I think it's too little. I mean, dear Frankie Dettori, his sweet wife, said, all you hear at home is the fridge opening and shutting when he wants to have something to eat. Awful.
As for your 2-year-olds, there are precocious youngsters who are really sharp and ready for, say, the Brocklesby at Doncaster in March and other races like that, the early 2-year-old races. But you wouldn't.
No.
Do
I mean, that sounds. That sounds. The awful thing is, because you want to do one thing, you have to do another thing. But I just think, on the whole, owners should realise not to press their trainers to start racing so quickly. I mean, I don't think probably not a law, but I just think they should, in an ideal world, they'd start later.
Purely for the horses' welfare is the reason that you.
Well, and the jockeys, so the jockeys could be fatter too. Everybody could move up.
Don't talk about fatness, for goodness' sake. And Jilly, you reckon there's too much racing?
Well, there are too many races. I mean, there's what I think I'm desperate to get some more prize money, because until you get prize money better, I mean, owners won't want to buy horses, will they? And that'll kill the whole thing. And if the prize money was better, because everybody goes to France and goes off everywhere else to get prize money, and it just seems a shame. And if there were less races, there'd be more to spread around.
If there's less races, there's less jobs for stable staff, for jockeys. Horses would have to be put down. What are you advocating?
Dear, well, perhaps I better just leave the races.
No, but you think a lot of people think there's too much.
No, but I mean, I mean, just because there were a few less meetings or a few less races in a day, there just seems to be. I mean, the prize money. They need more prize money.
But there's not a shortage of owners, all right? They've fallen about 10% in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, that's what I think. I want to do it, that's all.
Yeah, so you're Queen for the Day.
Yeah, I can do anything
so
I
you're
like.
going to cut back, but a lot of consequences, negative consequences, by having less betting shop fodder, is what they call the races. A lot of the all-weather courses.
You look at the television, there's nobody there. You know. There's a person in front of the television when the winning closure waves his arm so they can get on the television.
There's that chap always winning, isn't it? It's whoever wins a race, that guy always wins. I know, I agree with you. But if you cut back on a race, a lot of people think that you could cut back on, say, a third of owners, third of jockeys, third of horses, third of races, and racing would much be leaner and sharper, and there would be better prize money. But but would the game be better because of that? What about the lower end of the scale?
Well, I don't know. I just like strawberries. There's jumping all the year round. There's flat racing all the year round. And I just like a few seasons and a bit less.
Would you have, as part of your sort of campaign, have for national hunt racing a sort of a summer break, maybe 6 weeks, something like that?
Jockeys, horses everybody needs a break.
Because now, in the old days,
they
there
go
used to be a break.
on and on, and that's why they look so tired, those poor jockeys.
So that would be up to you as the Queen, saying, well, for say 6 weeks, you choose it, whether it would be after Bet 365 Day at Sandown, or whether it would be a big end of May. Wherever the time there was, you would say to them, right, we're cutting it back, no national hunt racing at this time.
No, I think so.
I think you've got a fair point, and a lot of people would agree with that. One thing we have to ask you, of all people, the use of the whip. Now, we're not going into your novels. What goes on there, we'll keep quiet about that. But in horse racing terms, what would you do about the whip?
Well, I think it's very vexed, the whip, because obviously it's hideous seeing people thrashing horses. It's simply horrible. And particularly when there's some tired horses at the end, and this man's going absolutely crucifying it. And even though it's probably only 6 strokes, it's horrible. And also, I don't mind the way they wave in front of their eyes, and I don't mind when they direct the horses, but I just think... but on the other hand, I think it's very difficult for jockeys, because if they don't pick up the whip, they're done for non-trying, aren't they?
Well, there's very little. I can't remember the last jockey who was accused of non-trying because he or she didn't use the whip.
Was it not that?
But, so it has changed, and there's not...
It's better. It's much better.
And what you were saying is the real hitting them very hard. But I think it is an image question. And of all things you know about image and public perceptions, and hitting animals in the name of sport, a lot of us consider is just indecent, immoral, and totally wrong.
Well, it's so hard, it's horrible. And I still think, I mean, you've got a very, very lazy horse. The odd whack, I think, is all right, but, you know. It's like smacking children, you know, the odd whack behind the thighs if they're being really insufferable, but not just horrible beating. Yeah,
but you say the odd whack, but in fact the whips now, according to most people, most of the experts, are all like feathers now, and they're not the harsh things they used to be. Yeah. But the public don't know that or realise that, and it's the impression they give. So do away with the whip for hitting horses is really...
I think so. I still think...
Except for the odd whack you want.
No, just the odd whack. They're being really lazy and piggy. I mean, some horses can be, can't they?
Right. How would you encourage younger racegoers?
Well, I have one lovely thing called Hot for Trot I belong to, which is a sort of all-embracing club, and there are about 120 of us, and we pay not very much, and we release 7 lovely horses, one of them with one with Mark Johnson, one with Andrew Balding, and another one with William Haggis. And we go to their yards and have a lovely time meeting all of them and seeing the horses. And then we go to the races as a party, as a team. And we have lots to drink and have a lovely time. And it's fun. And I mean, I think if more people did syndicates, more people went to races like that, they would have fun. And also they had a wonderful idea in Ireland called Varsity Day, when you got a free pint of beer, you got £10 to go in, you had to pay, that was all, and then you got a free bet. And it was a massive success. And I think racing is so seductive and lovely that if people actually get people there. We had an office party, and we all went to Kempton in the evening, and they absolutely adored it. People had never bet before. My lovely, lovely housekeeper, she never bet before in her life, and she adored it. That's what I think you ought to do. And
so many of your novels are to do, as I said, with relationships, meeting people, you get on with them. Is there a better place than a race course?
Perfect.
Unlike soccer, where you're stuck roughly in one place, shouting and screaming, getting excited. Racing,
friendly.
You can move about it.
You can, you see, and you get in a betting queue and you have a chat.
There are many more syndicates, of course, than there used to be.
Yeah, I think syndicates are brilliant. They must be maddening for the owners the trainers, if you get the owners coming down every 5 minutes in camper vans and they're mucking out and feeding 50 horses first thing in the morning, and then suddenly they'll go into the house and metamorphosise into raging beauties.